All right, so it's that special time of the month where we review some price predictions and figure out if anything's changed. Now, the last time we did this was a few months ago, right before things got, let's just say, a little bit difficult. So many of you have asked for this video, and here it is. My revision and update on price predictions for this bull run. Stick around, we've got a lot to talk about. Now, of course, first of all, I must say, guys, if you find yourself enjoying this video or learning something new, okay, because I do teach things, I'm not one of them guys who'll just give you a bunch of price predictions and not give you the reasons why, then you can help support all I do to like down below and make sure you are subscribed as well. I've got to also throw in there, I know a lot of you are probably there rolling your eyes right now going, are you really making a price prediction video right now when we all just want to break even? The answer is yes. Not because I want to. Believe you me, the backlash is going to be insane, but it's because I've literally received many requests for this video. I think because people want to be more realistic because the prices have come down and wanted to see if my predictions on these coins have changed. And you can't blame people for thinking this. The last time we made this video, Bitcoin was around $100,000. And again, the most important thing and the difference is that sentiment was very high. You see, guys, when you actually zoom out, it turns out that we really aren't in that bad of a spot. I mean, yes, there's macro news that could possibly be impacting us here, and that's so important to understand right now. But as you'll soon see, before I get into the price predictions, I do want to go over, roughly speaking, where we are in the market. And if I am even somewhat correct, there isn't too much to worry about. It's just a typical cycle thing. But I understand it's the macro uncertainness that really is killing everyone. I'm going to cut you a very long story short, though. If you want to know what I am personally looking to buy, I'm not right now. I've got no money, believe it or not. Okay, I can't actually buy the dip because I was buying 3 dips ago. But essentially, if I was to be buying or holding altcoins right now, just in case we had a bear market, these 5 would be the ones I would sleep well at night, knowing I owned. I made a recent video talking about this as well. So if you wanted to get your hands on, kind of the coins I think would be worth a hold besides Bitcoin, because I do think Bitcoin for the most part is probably the best hold if we were to go into an elongated bear market or go down even further, because alts will continue to suffer. And most importantly, Bitcoin is the safest thing to play in that sense because it will be here to test, for the long term, basically. Now, alts are the furthest point along this risk curve, even further than Ethereum, which obviously is an altcoin itself. And the reason why I show you this is because we will not do well here unless the macro itself does well. I'm talking about the real world. These tariffs finally stopped. Trump just, announced more tariffs for April before this video was published. So until this finally settles down, like his first term, I don't think that we can expect us to have any major alt season, even though there are some pretty incredible numbers behind what I'm about to tell you. Full disclosure as well, of course, non-financial advice, like the disclaimer said before, but most importantly, guys, what you don't understand about price predictions, or at least what most people don't understand about price predictions, is they're dynamic. They are not static. What I mean by that, I can give a prediction today, and literally in 3 hours from posting this video, it might change depending on the community standing. Maybe they're a Casper, CSPR, and the founder starts swearing and cursing at the community. That's going to change things, just like if Coca-Cola's CEO comes down with a public statement saying, hey, screw you guys, we don't need you. Guess what's going to happen? The price is going to tank. Guess what happened to Nike when one of the famous NBA players had a bit of a mix up with the shoe on the court, right? The shoe broke on the court and the price, the market cap tanked by $1 billion, right? So these things matter. Marketing, remote events, adding or removing narratives. So there's a few projects over the course of time that I've seen be strong because they're in good narratives and then decide to, remove them for whatever reason it may be. Adding or removing a unique selling point, the team softs, whatever it may be. There's a whole host of things. This will always change my perception for the better or for the worse of a coin. And I want to also say as well that what I like to do here is keep you within reason with what I call the GGR zones, all right, the green, gray, and the red zones. What are these? Well, the red zone, the top of the red zone is the price prediction. Never, ever, ever, no matter who tells you it to you, never sell your coin at someone's price prediction. That's their estimation of price going like this and then straight back down again. There's no liquidity up here. It's fugazi. And that's a price prediction. Maybe the price prediction doesn't even come true. And that's why we also factor in a gray zone. So from the price prediction down 35%, we have pretty much where you don't want to be selling. And then in the green zone is likely where you do want to be selling, generally speaking, from a price prediction. Of course, I try my best to keep them as realistic as possible. And so this just gives you a buffer zone, really. So when you actually finally decide to set up some of your sell levels, which we've got a great tool in here for the private community for you guys to be able to look into yourselves, you literally just punch in 3 numbers, boom, 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 and then you have any sort of sell level that you may want. Again, the different zones in the GGR zones here, all taken care of for you. But you don't want to be having any sell levels too high, because in that case, you run the risk of just simply never selling. Okay, now I want to talk very quickly here about like alt season in general. Now, as we know it, crypto has run on a 4-year cycle. Euphoria here in this greenish color, okay, aka alt season, really. Then we have 3 years worth of Bitcoin season. So we have the start of the bear market, consolidation, and then the start of the new bull run, and then euphoria. People mistaken, including myself in the past, alt season being a time in which that can actually happen, within these 3 years, yellow, red, or blue. It doesn't. They're more so Bitcoin cooling off periods, Bitcoin sort of taking the charge and then having a bit of a pullback, okay? So don't mistake it. We haven't had an alt season in like 3 years. We've had little pumps. I think people have fundamentally forgotten what it feels like to be an alt season. It is a time we will never forget. A lot of money can be printed. And just to give you some examples here, this very first alt season back in 2017, it gained, the altcoins themselves almost $350 billion, which back then was a lot of money. Okay, that was up almost a 35x. And then the previous cycle, we gained about $1 trillion in market cap for altcoins. That's a lot. That was 3 times the amount. And I believe this cycle, and I get it, those of you who are the no bull run gurus are going to say you're an idiot for even saying this. Okay, that's your opinion. I get it totally. But I believe there will be an alt season. And when I think there is an alt season, I do think we'll go circa $2 trillion. I've done the math into the reasons why. It very much so has something to do with this chart here. Pretty much if we go up here to this point, which is where I think we might go to, essentially relative gain of Bitcoin is about a 2x versus previous cycles being a 4x, so it's diminishing returns. We're likely going to be seeing around $2 trillion in altcoin market cap. Now, to put numbers into perspective here for you guys, again, these are all tools I use in the private community. That would pretty much mean that we would have in the top 90 coins, not the top 100, by the way, like the top 90. So excluding Tron up, so Pi all the way down to the very, very bottom over here, which is, I think, Carver right now, there would be around about $1.8 trillion, because that's just simply how wealth is distributed in crypto. This blue marker here is about almost 90% of all the wealth in crypto being in the top 10. This red here is the top 90 coins. And obviously, as the bull run progresses, as it goes to alt season, Bitcoin bleeds, even Ethereum bleeds to alt. So this does change a little bit to favor the red zone, which is our altcoins, which essentially means that we're going to have about $1.8 trillion in altcoins. And if you just divide that by 95, and that's being generous, right? There's 90 coins we're talking about. Well, let's say there's only 5 coins. That's $19 billion each. Now, doesn't quite work like that. These coins have narrative pumps and they have different points in which interest comes and goes. So you'll find kind of like baseline being a little bit less than that, but then a coin in its narrative pump will be like maybe 4 or 5 times that, okay? So again, just to put that in perspective, Carver right now is a 540 million market cap. So if you just do the basic math on that, that's a 35x on, the bottom coin there, coin rank 100, which is incredible to think about. I think many people are lost in the noise right now. I see a lot of similarities back here to the 2015 to 2017 bull run. We had these 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 touches. The middle touch was a channel break, and that coincided here with channel break number 2 we're experiencing right now, back from 2022 to where we are over here. And this is just because a few macro cycles lined up. And as we know, we're sinking more and more to macro cycles. I mean, guys, even the way in which we actually entered this ascending channel here, down, up, down, up, down, up, down, up, down, up, was the exact same as we did over here, down, up, down, up, down. So if I just kind of, take you through both of these like this, you can clearly see up here just how close they are. And again, the touches are very similar as well. It makes sense as well because it's a lengthening cycle. All right, people have been screaming this for the longest time. We're in lengthening cycles. Well, when it's time to live the lengthening cycle, when it's time to see it as it's playing out right now, everyone's like, oh, we need to be pumping like back in 2021. Okay, back over here. We've got to be up here. Guys, this was COVID. All right, this was COVID all back here. Okay, this video is not designed to go through that. Okay, I'm going to move forward here in just a second. But you can see here as well, Bitcoin is syncing up more and more to gold. So this was back, actually, if I move my head here, this was back when gold launched its ETF back in the early 2000s. And, Bitcoin obviously having its ETF launch, a lot of comparisons to make with digital and physical gold, Bitcoin versus gold. So again, it looks very, very similar. And of course, it had a massive pump afterwards. So yeah, just something to think about. I made this post on X recently, kind of just showing what I think would have been much more akin to the lengthening cycle theory here based on the previous cycle, whereas I don't think that if we had COVID and then we had the overstimulation, I think we would have had a sort of similar kind of like blow off top moment as well, and that cycle being obviously longer, which would have made more sense this time around. It would have been better to see this because then we would have had obvious comparisons to make. And I think generally for the most part, people are giving up on this cycle, guys. They're finishing the race before it's even started, really. All right. They're saying, I'm not going to even bother with it because of X, Y, and Z reason. I get it. You can say, well, that's what gamblers say as well. Gamblers, give up right before they win big, as they say. I get that, but we're not gambling, necessarily speaking. We're, I've always said we're advanced gambling, kind of, but it's, with the better judgment now of a macro cycle, and we're just using altcoins as like a lagging indicator, so to speak. Now, this is obviously HBAR's chart from the previous cycle, back when that pandemic happened, of course, and I'm just throwing this up again to give you guys some of my own personal insights into what I'm mentally preparing myself for. If in the worst case we continue to go down, I'm willing to wait. You can see HBAR's price back over here at the high, the local high. Took it almost a whole entire year for it to actually break out, but it still went up a 9x from that local high. Down here, most people would break even again anytime before that after about 72 days. Okay, so it took 72 entire days. So we've seen it before. It's just this time, sentiment's a lot worse. So with all that being said, I'm going to rush through these because I did want to, preface this video with that. I know some of you guys have TikTok brain. You're going to be freaking out right now, like, Kyron, give us the predictions. I think this is all helpful for you, ultimately. That's why I'm talking about it. I don't like to hear myself talk, believe you me. So we're going to be using one of my tools in the bullrun cheat sheet here, which is the forecast for price predictions based on data. I made my last price prediction video in about January, which I actually went through the rough math on how this works. We readjust based on performance, based on market cap. So these all change and are dynamic. So to begin with here, I'm going to be using a new tool I created for everyone in my private community for level 1 and above. It's called the market cap forecast tool. And this gives us the market caps at each of these lines. It gives us the probability in percentages that a coin on average, based on 30,000 coins, will likely reach that market cap. So you can see here for a coin to go to a market cap of 20 billion, only 0.04% of all the coins go to that level. We also have the multiple underneath each of these sort of rungs. So you can see here for XRP in this case, that it's, to the very, very top of this particular, sort of tool. And it's a 1.4x away from being a, what is this over here? A 200 billion market cap, which is $3.50. So obviously most coins aren't this large. But anyway, it's important because it gives some of you guys unrealistic expectations when you're using a tool like this to go, okay, my coin's $200 million. I think it can go to 50 billion, or my favorite influencer says it can go to 50 billion. And you'll have a look at the probability of that and you're like, okay, that's a probability of like whatever, 0.2%. And it's a 50x. So again, you stack up the odds, the multiples, and the probability, and it's like highly unlikely for the coin to do that. So it's to also help you guys. One thing I wanted to point out with this tool as well is just like kind of key support and resistance levels for price itself. I think market cap plays an important role. You can see some of the resistance levels over here for XRP at $200 billion. A bit of support over here at around 125 billion. But most importantly, in the bear market, and as you'll soon see with other coins, there are like very key levels of resistance, especially for some of these similar market cap coins. You'll find coins like ICP, Near Protocol, even HBAR to some degree back in the day as well, Render and so on. Like they all have, certain market caps where they always have a bit of a sticking point. So what do? Well, of course, to maybe take some profit at that time, because based on the trend and based on history, it always seems that these type of market cap coins get stuck at those levels. Conversely, when price starts to come down as well, you can see coins like XRP slightly here. Doesn't do the best job of explaining this, but definitely shows a good example. Around a 30 billion and 20 billion market cap, there seems to be a good level of support. These are key jump ups in market cap, and I can't stress it enough, guys, in especially price discovery when no price has been before and it's just going to the moon and back. people more so, I believe, look at market cap as an indication of over or undervalued status of the coin than price. Price really doesn't mean much. The market cap means more at that point, I believe, than price does. Because people will go, oh, well, I'm not going to buy XRP. It's worth $600 billion. For it to 2x or for it to do X, Y, and Z, it's too overvalued. It's too pricey. I better take some profit off the table. So this is so important for you to check out and observe, I do believe. And you may have probably already noticed, but like, you know, I'm using the supply as it stands here today, right? 58 billion coins in circulation. So like I said, you know, what does this mean? Well, back here, there wasn't 58 billion coins in circulation, but what it's doing is it's kind of stretching it out and have a look at it in relative terms. Okay, so it wasn't 10 billion market cap back here, but relative to today, it just about may as well be. So again, it's just key levels. I don't see XRP going back down to 10 billion market cap, so it doesn't matter anyway. But again, use this to your advantage. Our next coin here is Aave, and you can see Aave has really struggled to stay above a market cap of $5 billion. Now, looking at this, like what I've told the guys in the private community here, is it probably best to, again, use this as a psychological number, just as much as price is, and say to yourself, well, okay, maybe at a 5 billion market cap, if Aave is not in a narrative pump, and it is importantly moving up in price just based on the general trend in the market, as in Bitcoin's going up, altcoins are kind of tagging along and following like a bunch of school kids with the principle, right? Then it's probably wise to just take a little bit of profit off the table each time it increments by about $5 billion. So 5 to 10 to 15 and 20. Take a bit of profit off the way. Okay, you can have your sell levels. Obviously, like I said before, the GGR zone is super, super important when you set up your individual sell levels like this. Okay, but again, maybe you just want to take a bit of profit off the table. Now, the green zone here is $1,600 and the actual price prediction itself is $2,500. Do I agree with that? I think that's probably pretty accurate. I mean, look, guys, again, it's very easy to think pessimistically right now because the market's down. But I do think that is quite realistic. It's around a 15, 16x to the very, very top. So again, for a coin this large, around about a 2.5 billion market cap. So Aerodrom's just broken through, I think, a pretty key level of its support in the past here, around about a 500 million market cap. It's been down here before, don't get me wrong, but I'd like to see kind of where it reverses from here. Either way, I think above a 1 billion market cap, it's kind of struggled to stay above. Obviously, market conditions haven't been too hot around here either. But yeah, I definitely think the green zone here of about $9.20 and red zone is probably on the more safer side. In the past, I've said I think the green zone being about $15, personally speaking. I think this coin can fly, especially when you think that the green zone here is about 7 billion market cap for the de facto DEX on base. I think it's pretty realistic, to be honest with you. Aether is the next coin, and this has actually had some pretty good news recently. I think it's launched on Coinbase. It's listed on there now. And the green zone here being about 50 cents, I think is pretty realistic. I think going from a 250 mil market cap up to here at just under a 5 billion for a green zone is, again, pretty realistic for this type of coin, deep in AI and being so heavily, I think, intertwined as an infrastructure project in crypto these days. Red zone here being about a 6 billion market cap, I think is probably safe to say, at least in my opinion. And yeah, so 250 mil market cap right now hanging around here. This is seemingly a strong level of support. Maybe that there is quite a lot of a VC funding around here. Maybe they have an incentive to keep it propped up. But either way, it's hasn't been too far lower than here in the past. Cash is another AI deep in coin, doing things a bit differently to Aether, but very similar, more retail than it is institutional. You can see here 250 mil market cap as well was a bit of a base for it. It sprung up. We'll see how it goes here. It looks like a billion market cap for older cash. Seems to be quite a level of resistance. So again, use that information wisely. And going to about I think roughly speaking, a 17x here at roughly about a 7-8 billion market cap at $25, I think is quite realistic, to be honest with you. And all the way to the very, very top here, it says a 30x or just under a 30x at a 10 billion market cap. Yes, definitely possible because it's such a strong narrative. And this is also a US-based altcoin, but I definitely wouldn't bank on it. Now, FET to the green zone is about an 18, 19x, and to the red zone here, it's about a 29, 30x as well. So quite high. This actually came down quite a bit from the recent price prediction, I think of around $20-ish, and my personal prediction was $25, which I kind of, say with a little bit of caution because I know guys are going to kind of laugh at me for saying that now. It's funny because if prices were back up here, right? If FET was back up here at around $2, then people would laugh at me for saying $9 price prediction. That's like a 3 or 4x, right? But or a 5x. But like when it's down here, they see this change in price and they think, well, that money's gone forever, and they think that it's never coming back, and they think that it's for a reason single-handedly because of something that FET did. When in reality, guys, these coins did nothing wrong. I get all the comments all the time. You recommended this coin, you talk about this coin, and it's down so much. Hello, wake up. Like, all the coins are down right now. It's just because of the trend. Most of this is volume-based, guys. Most of it is simply... people look at multi-billion market caps. There's not that much money invested in these coins. It's far less. So I'm not worried at all that these coins, may or may not go up to these levels again. I definitely think they will. And it's mainly when, right? When will alt season be, and will people be shaken out before then, I think. AVAX is looking like a nice 10x of the green zone here, which is pretty good. It's a large cap. You're not expecting too many multiples for these large caps. I'd probably be back down here, to be honest with you guys, around $100, $120 to be safe. I know some of you guys are up in the 200s. That seems to be near the price prediction here. The price prediction is saying it's about $300. So be careful, up around $190, $200. Again, these are more pessimistic, lower price predictions. I did want to make a very quick note here for you guys. A lot of people struggle with the idea that market cap's a fake number. Market cap's always found from price times supply. Now, price is found from volume on a bunch of exchanges. That's why I tell people all the time, these coins like Pi Network, for example, it's like up here at rank 11 or whatever now, has artificially pumped itself to this market cap. It's not worth that much. It's not even worth probably a tenth of that. The reason being is because it has so many tokens in its circulation, okay? There's, where is it over here? There's 7 billion tokens. Now, you see, watch this. If I come back to AVAX and I change the circulating supply from 400 million, if I add a 0 and change it to 4 billion, watch the market cap swell. You see now the market cap up here is sitting around, where is it right now? It's around 80 billion. So it, again, 10x its market cap because I gave it 10x the amount of tokens. So you have to remember this when it comes to crypto, guys. This is why market caps like I'm looking at right now is so important to assess, is because this is a psychological number. If I told you right now that AVAX was sitting at 70 billion market cap, a lot of you guys would probably panic sell or like be more inclined to want to sell soon because it's so overvalued in your eyes. What about Beam? Well, I'm pretty heavy in Beam, but as you guys know, it's quite down at the moment. It's around 250 million market cap, which is crazy to me considering it was way up here at like a 1.82 billion market cap recently. Guys, it's a 6x back up there. It's crazy. To the green zone here, it's a 30x, which is, yeah, it sounds nutty. I know a lot of us are around 20 cent sell price. Again, if price was back up here, if price was around where it was before at 4 cents, I mean, you'd laugh at me if I told you I'm getting out of this coin at 19 cents at a 4x. Again, it's all perception. Do I think these numbers are realistic? You're going to laugh at me, but I do think so. I think for a coin like this, as long as gaming pumps, gaming's looking like a pretty lackluster narrative, but we kind of knew it would be coming into the bull run because it was last bull run for the whole entire cycle. Then right at the very end, bam, it popped and it was huge. So I'm holding out. I think GTA 6 might actually bring in some good demand for gaming coins as well if it launches on time. Cardano, like AVAX, is a few less multiples than the others. It's about a 7x of the green zone here and about an 11x, roughly speaking, to the $8 price tag for the price prediction here. Do I agree with it? Well, yeah, I actually kind of don't think anything more than $7 is realistic. Maybe $10 like best possible case. But guys, see the market over here? The green zone is just beneath the 200 billion market. Actually, the green zone is just above 175 billion. It's around, let's just call it about 180-ish. So that's a high market cap amount, right? So yes, it can definitely do it, but would I hold my breath for it? No. Again, better safe than sorry, as we've now seen, right? Celestia is a modularity layer 2 play. It kind of was one of the forefronters for something called data availability. But unfortunately, this coin has really not done too well recently ever since it kind of launched back over here and went to about $22, $24. I think for the green zone, it's very realistic at about a 10x, and the red zone here, a bit about a 15x, again, realistic. But this coin does react very, very well when the market does turn. Like, it always is quite reactive. So I'm very interested to see how well L2s and modularity as a narrative comes back. And hopefully we see this coin do quite well. Chainlink is our next coin, and this is one of my all-time favorites. As I mentioned to you before, this is one of the ones I would hold if I had to buy altcoins right now. and go through a bear market, I'd sleep well at night knowing for the green zone, it is a 9.5x and the red zone is about a 15x, okay? You can see it's kind of struggled to break above the 20 billion market cap in history, so that's something to keep an eye on as well. Flux has always been a coin I've said will do high multiples, and you can see here even the green zone right now being about roughly a 31x, and the red zone, or the price prediction, being a 45, 46x. That kind of says everything about it. Now, I get it. You're like, Kyron, the market's moving sideways. How dare you say anything more than a 2x is possible? I'm not saying it's going to happen. I'm saying it's technically possible for this coin. It's in the right narratives, and it's with the right team, and it's doing a lot of marketing recently. It's recently partnered with NVIDIA. It's matured its relationship to an actual partnership. So it's some big stuff, and they're working together, guys. So it has struggled around this sort of 100 billion market cap before, and it's always, kind of had a hard time breaking through 500 million, you can see here. So these are some key levels to keep in mind when looking to, again, sell based on psychology. HBAR here going up to, I think the green zone about $1.40 is about a 7x, and the red zone here is about a 10x. Now, do I think that's possible? Yeah, I actually do. The only issue is that HBAR's pumped quite a lot recently. All right. And that's obviously giving me some, honestly, like mental blockage, because I'm like, it's already up so much. Like most guys that have been buying in the bear market, they're up like 6, 7, 8x right now. So, this coin's one that just to keep your eye on with the psychological market cap numbers for sure. But these price predictions can most definitely hit, I do think. Injective here, kind of like HBAR, there was quite a bit of buying back in the bear market, but unlike HBAR, there wasn't a large open window for this, and it was a much smaller market cap. You can see here being about, around about 300 million versus HBAR being a couple $1 billion, so more people could have bought in. This one, I think green zone here being a 20x from the current price. That's $200, guys. I think so. The red zone here is a 30x flat. All right, so the price prediction itself. It has struggled to break through this level here once before, so I guarantee you again, unless it is a narrative pump for AI, real-world asset, or something to do with Injective, I dare say that again, it would probably end having a slight sell-off or barely being able to sustain above 5 billion market cap for too long, which of course might be a good option for us to take some profit. ICP's had a bit of a nice run above 5 billion market cap, but never broken above a 10 billion before. So we'll see how that goes. I think the green zone here is quite realistic. We're talking, roughly speaking, let's see here, about a 13x, and the red zone is about just under a 20x. Do I think it's possible? Absolutely. $100 token price for the price prediction, I think is definitely possible. When you kind of take this coin and look at what it was back here when it pumped at like $300, when you look at the market cap size, like, yes, it was a lot. What is that? It's like $150 billion. But again, like considering what this bull run might bring on, people laughing, like I was laughing about these numbers, happening. I don't think they will, to be honest with you, but like there is definitely a world where ICP has the best run. They've recently partnered with HBAR. Like, there's been a lot of stuff that's come out with these guys. And this goes for any coin, by the way. Like, if the stars align for a coin with so much liquidity coming into the spaces cycle, I think some of us will be blown away. There will be coins like Solana and Cardano where they went from a couple 100 million market cap or a couple billion market cap to over 100 billion in the last cycle. And that'll happen more this cycle, likely even higher numbers and more frequently at that. So there are contenders to this. Not saying for sure that ICP's won, but there will be for sure. Near Protocol is looking like a 15x for the green zone, and for the red zone here, around about a 22, 23x. Is this possible? Yes. Just like the other coins here, it's kind of struggled to break through some of these numbers. You can see here relative to the current supply, 10 billion's always been a bit of a sticking point for Near Protocol, and also it seems to be 20 billion as well. So these are key increments to keep your eyes on for take profits. We've now fallen beneath the 5 billion market cap range. So Render is a 17x to the green zone and a 26, 27x to the red zone. Again, struggled at 5 billion market cap. 5 billion market cap seems to be the sticking point for most of these sort of larger mid-sized cap coins-ish. So this might be an interesting point for us moving forward here when looking into analyzing altcoins for take profits that are much smaller coins. When they do trend up, this 5 billion market cap might be a simple always take profit level indeed. So it's good looking at this lens, of course. Guys, we don't have too much more time left. I may look at one or two more coins here. Let me know down below, though, which coins you want to see me review in the next video. Like, I do want to make a part 2 for this. There is so many coins to assess, and looking at through this lens, I think gives us a whole new perspective on when to take profits and when to eye off sticking points. You know what? I filmed this video and then I realized I never covered Ondo. So I'm adding Ondo in post-editing over here. You guys didn't need to know that, but I thought I would add it in. So Ondo right now, I do think does have the capability to go to a price of $10. Now, it's the only coin in this entire list that's price predictions actually gone up. Okay, so it's gained, it's held up quite nicely versus the whole market. So again, a 12x here to the green zone, and to the red zone here, it's just under a 20x at $16. Once upon a time, people were laughing at me for saying it will go over $10. Now it seems people are in unison saying $10 is the bare minimum. Okay, so it's a very good thing for Ondo. Yes, psychologically speaking, 5 billion is a bit of a sticking point for this coin, like many others in this general vicinity. So keep that in mind as well. Now, it seems Solana is about a 5.5x away from the green zone and about a 7.5, 8x away from the red zone. Now, I don't think that's quite realistic, to be honest with you guys. That's wherever this is over here. This is 150 billion market cap at $300. That's roughly speaking a 3x from there. Again, 600 billion market cap. I wouldn't personally bank on it, but I do think Solana does have a good chance to bounce back here. You can see a great level of support has been this red level down here at about a 60 billion market cap as well. And our last coin for this video, again, let me know which coins that you want to see me talk about in the next video, part 2. This is an 9x, roughly speaking, to the green zone, and about a 13x to the top of the red zone. Currently, again, sticking point here seems to be roughly around this second green box, or the last green box, should I say, 15 billion market cap. So we'll see if it decides to fall back down to $5 billion. It seems 5 billion is a very strong level of support. Obviously, in an extended sort of like downturn or sideways lull that we could definitely see again like we did back in the pandemic 4 years ago, then of course that might be a level in which you consider stacking if you believe in SUI. And like the rest of the coins as well, these are some key numbers to, again, look through, because not only is it psychologically important, but there is also like people buying at these specific valuations that have an interest in keeping them propped above or do not like being underwater. So they will obviously continue to buy. Now, supply obviously changes and therefore the market caps will change. Therefore, these numbers are malleable. But of course, so is everything else, right? So let me know what you think down below. Do you agree? Do you disagree? Again, these are data-fueled mainly. My personal feelings and analysis on these coins do also weigh in on this. But yeah, I'd love to hear your thoughts. Take care. Bye-bye.